Earth 2 is going to the moon, and I can prove it with 100% facts. Side note, I often confuse the word facts with speculation and conjecture. Not important, you be the judge. And no, your favorite dirty bearded uncle twice removed is absolutely not giving you financial advice. Everybody's chasing Lambos, and I'm just happy to buy a drink from the bar without my card declining. I'm saying Earth 2 is literally going to the moon. So let me set the groundwork real quick. Recently, I posted this on social media, and one of you decided to reach out to me and remind me that, bro, it's called Earth 2, not Moon 2, lols. You know who you are. I assume you were joking, but nonetheless, between games like EVE Online, No Man's Sky, Starfield, Star Atlas, Star Citizen, and any other game with the name Star in it, the idea of traveling through the infinite vastness of space has forever been interesting. We have over 5,500 planets in our galaxy alone, with an estimated 100 sextillion in all of space. The idea of exploration, conquering, residing on one of these planets starts to get a little sexy. With unlimited amounts of potential planet-to-planet variation, allowing our imaginations to run wild on all the different settings and environments this could create. So why do I think we will eventually be in space, though we are on a platform called Earth 2? Bro, I'm so glad you asked. First, Earth 2 already feels very sci-fi in almost every regard. From their civilians, or what I call space ghosts, to their neo-futurism architecture that we can see in the buildings. Literally every single one of their vehicles look like spaceships, to their promotional art, to their concept art, to their trademarks, to the CEO Shane Isaac's comments on space and his affinity for space games. Everything feels very spacey. Though we are on Earth 2, maybe we could call it Moon 2. Let's break it down. Earth 2 civilians. First, let's just address the elephant in the room, all right? Let's all admit it. All of Earth 2 civilians either look like they work on a spaceship or are the aliens themselves, with the three different factions being Space Force, the Egyptian gods, and rebels. One of them has probably never visited planet Earth, the other spends the majority of their time away from Earth, and the third sounds like a low-level opponent you would kill in a random event in space. I'll let you decipher which is which. In addition to this, there are literal aliens mixed amongst a bunch of civilians, and if there was still any doubt, in the Earth 2 deep dive on civilians video, Shane talks about advanced electromagnetic microwaves being directed toward Earth 2, which was apparently an attempt by other things to inhabit Earth 2, though they lack the ability to do so in their physical form. They then go on to explain that the otherworldly factions, aliens, were transmitted to Earth 2 to be closer to ether and essence. See? That is a 2-4-1 right there. Space Ghost, coast to coast aliens. Aliens, no matter what you say, I'll tell you what. Earth 2 buildings. Earth 2 buildings have always been accused of looking a little too sci-fi. Some of these buildings look like literal spaceships. And this makes sense, because the neo-futurism architecture style is often influenced by technological innovation. And oftentimes in Earth 1, we see this style mimic spacecrafts. But sometimes it just looks like you could take these cities on Earth 2 and then place them on the moon or Mars, and they would probably work just as well. Earth 2 vehicles. The majority of Earth 2 vehicles seem to resemble some type of futuristic advanced spacecraft. Exhibit A. Sidroids. Though they are so small we assume they can't fly to space, they still look like space robots to me, including this one that literally looks like a miniature TIE fighter from Star Wars. Aw, it's off to destroy the Republic. So cute. Even the names of the side droids sound spacey. Starlight Fury, isn't that a superhero from space who fights with the Teen Titans? The Veninator, which is our Star Wars TIE Fighter lookalike, but also sounds like the Terminator. It is I, Arnold, the Veninator. Followed by the Necro Signal, which is kind of spacey, right? In addition to this, we know there is a literal rocket ship, and if it wasn't already abundantly clear, how about we add a floating space train just so you really know that we could use these vehicles in any environment. And I'm not just saying this because of the black and white color palette that is typical amongst spacecraft. If you painted any of these ships gold, it would still look like a gold spaceship. Earth2 resources. Speaking of gold, we have actual resources that specify their usefulness for not only aerospace, but also specifically space technologies. Why would that be important? Earth2 promotional content. Surely we can put this whole silly argument to rest by just safely saying in no way, shape, or form did Earth2 lead us to think space game through their promotional content. Well, wrong you are. Unless you sided with me from the beginning, then you arg awesome. Take a look at the cat team artwork. This beautiful, adorable, intergalactic space cat. And here's a lovable in-game poster of an astronaut at a retro party. Or check out these official Earth2 thumbnails that make it look like they're on a spaceship. And here's artwork of them actually on a spaceship. And here's one of spaceships in space. And here's one of a guy staring out of a building in space. Fine, I'll continue. Earth2 concept art. How about the Earth2 team's concept art? Does this field barrack look earthly to you? I've been in a few field barracks myself, and usually they're large tents or chews, also known as containerized housing units. But this looks like a space tent. And do you know how I know this? Because if I Googled space tent, this is what pops up. It's actually very cheap and stylish. What a great deal. They look identical. Next, we have a burner. And I'm not talking about your underachieving sibling. This looks like something that might be required for takeoff. Followed by a controller. Does that look like something that would go on a spaceship door? Yes! Are we seeing a theme yet? Rocket boosting legs that look like they could support a large structure for takeoff. No way. And just to double down, let's take a look at some of the Earth2 team members' concept art that may or may not be related to Earth2. Spaceship. Spaceship. Spaceship in space. Spaceshipy. But I'll continue. I know there's at least one person still saying, I don't know, man. Earth2 trademarks. How about the Earth2 trademarks? Will they lead us to any sort of conclusion? Well, yes, because Earth2 has a trademark for Moon 2 and Mars 2. But both of these were initiated around March 2022. And that's important because a couple of months earlier, Earth2 announced their drone acquisition, which leads us to cool videos like this. We have what looks very similar to Sidroids, or also known as space robots, battling in space with meteors, other spaceships, and beautiful little satellites as the planet Earth just peacefully sits in the background. Lord and Lord, we can see the space burners at work, moving objects through space. And even the train we talked about earlier, the space train that I told you could work in any environment, well, it's literally flying through space in that video. Now, I know some might argue, well, yeah, but it could be an external game or experience linked to Earth2. Okay, but if Earth2 purchased Drone and they've already made space, is it hard to believe that we can eventually visit space? At this point, I feel like I'm literally kicking a baby. But let's wrap it up. We'll wrap it up by reading the CEO Shane Isaac's comments on this subject. A question to Shane. They were asking, other than buggies and drones, what other vehicles can we look forward to in Earth2? And Shane replied, flying cars, spaceships, etc. How will Drone interact with Earth2? Do I need a garage? Actually, you might need a spaceship, or we might just give you one. Shane also talked about one of the problems that they're working on is the ability to see megacities from space. Why is that important, huh? And moving on, Shane's response to a comment basically talks about his love of space games. He says, I never played EVE Online. I think my wife would have killed me, but I loved X2, Free Space, and a bunch of other similar space games. I think I even played a Star Trek real-time strategy just to get my space fix in. So yes, long term, I definitely want some form of space travel, though I imagine it will take a bit to achieve via the ecosim to get there. When I said we were going to the moon, some of you called me crazy. But look at us now. We're going to the moon. Who's crazy now? And though the team already has so much on their plate between biomes, the ecosim, waterfalls, the directional flow of water, the ability to see megacities from space, and a million other things, going to space, the moon, and Mars has never been an if. It's been a matter of when. And I will fight you on this, but only if you are blind, deaf, and dumb and a newborn that's less than 10 pounds. Anything else, I will run. By the way, if you made a drinking game out of the amount of times that I said space in this video, you might be dead right now. What are your thoughts? Do you think we are or we are not going to space? Space. RobinIArgh out, my fellow meatbags.
Why is the rum gone?